We are here today for this brilliant book, Let's Get the Virtuous Circle Rolling, which will focus on circular economy from multiple perspectives. I would like to thank you all. But first of all, I would like to remember to everybody that there will be a moment for questions at the end. So basically, I ask you kindly to set on mute. At the end, also you can also please send us an email with so we can contact you and send you the link after. So if you want to rewatch it or if you want any questions, absolutely, we are at disposal. I also remind that we are recording this this chat, so that's a privacy thing. It's important to remember. Welcome. We are here at this appointment, which is Smart Voices. Smart Voices is a program of digital talks with professionals in the fashion and textile business, and they share their vision and their projects on a specific theme. So today the theme is circular economy. Smart Voices has been created by C.L.A.S.S. C.L.A.S.S is a platform empowering professionals in the business, in the fashion and textile business, to become more competitive and at the same time more virtuous, more responsible and sustainable. So I would like to thank Josie Bettoni, CEO and founder of C.L.A.S.S, which will moderate this talk, Andrea Rosso, licensed creative directive and digital sustainability ambassador, Carmen Gama, designer and production manager at Aileen Fisher, Elisabetta Baronio, who is sustainability and responsibility manager Europe, Middle East and Africa in Timberland, and Alessandro Piatto, who is my international communication manager. Josie, I give the words to you, and welcome to everybody.
Grazie Enrico, and thanks really to everybody to be here today. I like a lot, the name that we've given to this session, that is Let's Get the Virtuous Circle Rolling. That it sounds like, okay, let's go, let's rock, to a certain extent. Because of course, everybody's talking about the circular economy, but if you go deeper, sometimes you get that, it's not so clear. It's a very important matter, but there is some, let's say, confusion, or it's not easy sometimes to find places where people is, getting things clear in a clear way. Of course, circular economy is a big matter. It's not just about one thing. It's a new culture. It's a new way to operate. We have a new way of design, smart innovation, a new communication, cooperation, and business model. But what I would like to do today with your help, the speakers that just, Enrico just introduced, is first of all, not to be generic. And second, try to share with you stories that I found with these, great speakers that for me has been really case history to say, we are going to the next level. It's possible, and it's really something that can be a marketing competitive advantage, because we are facing now more than ever after COVID, the need at consumer level. We see research, but we can just talk to people, after COVID, everybody's talking about, the needs to understand how the things are done, how the things are made, what is going to happen, climate change, protection, So today I would like to set a little step, to talk a little bit more in detail about, what upcycling means, how to use in a different way the waste that is not a waste at all, because it's a value. Because I know that it sounds very, let's say, conventional, but we have decades of overproduction, irresponsible management of resources, and we know it's like this. And clearly, these kind of things are, like a boomerang to us at the moment. We must find alternative sources. We need, first of all, to have a new culture, new mindset. It's not just enough to talk about materials. We have to do things in a different way. Without the mind and the culture, I think nothing is going to change. we all need to strongly rethink on the way we produce. You know, that's very clear. The solution could lead to many different possible strategies, thanks God, because business models today are many that we can find. So with the help of our guest, we would like to concentrate on this circular, but rock, not just a circular as a conventional, because we know by far that production and shopping does not mean always to purchase something new. You know, there is no obligation. If in the past everything has to be the production has to follow every 2-3 months or to buy things every day, you know, but this is not a must. You know, this is something that could be done a completely different way. And we know that despite fantastic planning programs to optimize production, the fashion and the textile system are producing huge quantities of material, textile and garments that are not used and are often discarded. And discard these values to us as class, but generally speaking as citizen and people and, you know, someone professional that is working in this field is something that is not good. We would like, and we think is essential to give another chance to these valuable garments and material that we created. That's why also as class we created Back in the Loop, that is really the kind of platform where also Maeba is part, because he's where we try to, for the first time in the last really 2 months, we are trying to share with new designer and brands and retailer all over the world that it's possible to source in a different way. So, but let's start now maybe to talk to our guests and to hear, you know, first of all, I would like to ask each one of you, and maybe I will follow the order of the screen that I have in front of me. So, Carmen, what is your role and commitment in your company? So, and I will do the same question to everybody so that we will be familiar with our friends and guests. The speakers, can you unmute?
Sorry, I was on mute. Oh my God, this happens a lot. Well, I was saying that thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here with all of my fellow peers that we are working towards the same mission. I am the design and production manager for Eileen Fisher Renew and Waste No More. I started 5 years ago here when I graduated from Parsons. I did my BFA there in fashion. I won a fellowship with other 2 girls to figure out a scalable solutions for all of the damage inventory that Eileen Fisher Renew has been taking back since 2009, because they didn't have one at that point. So my job kind of continues to be the same. It's like, you know, it's not so much on the resale part, like, but what do we do with this damage inventory? And there's no one solution. So we have addressed it in a couple of different ways, which is remanufacturing, what you guys are calling upcycling, where we use the textile as fabric to make new garments. We create felt goods. We also do fiber to fiber recycling. So in a nutshell, that's basically my world, to create these systems and, you know, from design all the way to production, see all of these projects come alive. So yeah, that's in a nutshell basically what I do.
That is amazing, because you create a new industrial system around, you know, returned garment. Alessandro, you are the second one on my screen. So can you share with us, you know, your role and, you know, commitment with your company, Maeba?
Of course. First of all, well, thank you for inviting me and having me here. It's a true honor. So I'm the communication manager here in Maeba International, as well as taking care of some of the international sales aspects. And I've been involved in the company for quite some years now, and I've been able to see it grow at a technological standpoint, from a logistical standpoint, and it's brought the company to where it is today, which is truly an amazing and different take onto what today's standards of, the wholesaler is. So yeah, we are the biggest wholesaler in Italy. We have 3 warehouses, and we have something around 70,000 fabrics altogether. Yeah, different types of fabrics. So really, we can accommodate any kind of need. the really interesting thing, and what I'm really looking forward to develop more with the company, is the sustainability aspect. It's been in our DNA since the inception of the company, and it just continues to grow. And finally, this year, we've been able to concretize on a very, very interesting project, which I'm assuming I'll be speaking to or about later.
We will keep the secret in a moment. So thank you, Alessandro.
Thank you.
Elisabetta.
So, hi everybody, thank you very much, Giusy. I'm Elisabetta, I'm the sustainability lead for Timberland in the European region. So probably the best way to present myself and what I do every day in my daily job is actually to talk a little bit about our sustainability strategy. So probably, you know, Timberland, it's a footwear company, and we have a long-standing commitment towards sustainability. We started many years ago, and we are now reaching the end of our first iteration of sustainability targets that were planned in 2015, and we are about to share our 2030 vision that is going to come in a few months, and we're really excited about that. And the first thing we have focused on to actually build our strategy and that I follow is better products. So we really strive to make products that are more and more sustainable from collection to collection. And we have a range of targets that we will reach by the end of 2020. At the same time, we are also pledging to create a greener future. So we pledged last year to plant 50 million trees by 2025 to make our world a greener world. And at the same time, we work to make our community stronger. So we give to our employees 40 hours of time to volunteer in their local community. And all these areas are the area that I follow every day in my job.
Thank you, Elisabetta. Andrea.
Ciao to everybody. I don't have so many things to say, but I'm the ambassador, sustainability ambassador for Diesel. And also I have my small little project, which is the name is MyR, that basically gets all the used military garments and with the usage of new customization, give a second life to these garments. And thanks to this heart of MyR, I've learned so much stuff that in the world of upcycling, now we are working also in Diesel, thanks also to the new for responsible living strategy that we just launched on the 13th of January. And we have 4 pillars, and it's very wide range of commitment that we are having. And one of these is also one of the upcycling project that we just launched the 22nd of February in the Diesel store, actually in Milano, during Female Fashion Week. And it's amazing because this opportunity of expressing what does it mean upcycling to people, for me, is the educational point of view that I would love to share, because it's not only that you say that you do something, but you show that you do something. And when you show that you do something, you learn. And when you learn, you do it at home. So that's where I think with upcycling we have done so far. We just started because we were, like all of us, unfortunate time, the pandemic period. But we are ready also to move forward with the next chapter of the upcycling project.
Thank you, Andrea. And now we will start from you from the second, so that we will balance the tour, basically, you know, with the question. You know, when we talk about upcycling, generally speaking, you know, there is also quite a lot of confusion, because generally speaking, when you say upcycling, a lot of people think about something poor or something that is not as good as the new one. Or simply, you know, some people are not sometimes respecting the same care that you take for the new one, for example, in analyzing things. But, you know, design, innovation, and responsibility has to be there for any kind of product we do. So what about your experience, Andrea? Because I was there, you know, in February when you launched the Diesel 55 upcycling, and I have to say that it has been one of the few, I have to admit, where I saw a design that is completely different in upcycling. So can you comment on this? You know, the company doing about circular economy, really, in terms of which is the strategy, which is the project that you are working at the moment?
Well, I have a sentence that I always say. This is it's probably maybe old now, but everything starts by cleaning your room. So basically, we start to clean our warehouse, and all the not only the leftover or that stuff, but also the trials that we have inside. Because I think in any company, any brand, you do so many trials, many products. Where do they go? What's the end of those? Do they sit in the warehouse? Do they get this mod? I mean, what happened to those? And we find out we have so much of this. So we start to get all of these proto trials that, by the way, aesthetically, they're very beautiful. Maybe the silhouette is already there, but once you cut a piece of fabric that has been treated, washed, colored, it's very interesting to see how that fabric can have a second life or a completely different category used, from pants to jacket, from shirt to sweatshirt. So I think we analyze very well inside our company how and what we had. And after it's like going crazy, because if you go to flea market, you go inside and you get bombarded by all of these images of lamp, I don't know, small pottery and everything, and you want to recreate your own house. It's the same things with upcycling. When you go inside the warehouse and you start to pick through boxes all these different trials, and your head spin because it gets very creative and start to compound together to make a nice garment. And I think the beauty about upcycling is the design, artistic, and also the musical approach, because upcycling does not only have the creative approach from a designer, but it has also a sound. And that's why we promote also at our event people that didn't use instrument, but they use like a physical object, like the bucket that you paint your wall when you get married, I don't know. And they play with that, recording the sounds, also recording the sounds of the sewing machine, because with some people, the sewing machine is a noisy sound, or maybe it's very annoying. But if you take every little piece of sounds and you compound together in a melody, it's a beautiful melody. So there is a different approach to it that for us has been a play garden or a moment to play. So for us, that moment was when we present this collection, and we want to do also with the next designer that will come aboard.
It was very, very engaging. Elisabetta, Timberland, we have seen in these last years a big, step forward. Can you share with us what is Timberland doing about circular economy, and which are the projects that you launched? I'm talking about projects, but of course these are not projects that are starting and ending. These are projects that are part of the collection. So that is the other important part. It's not just a limited edition thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's say that in Timberland, as I was saying before, sustainability came from a long way. So it was 2007 when we actually launched the first let's say, eco-conscious boot on the market. At the time, this boot, the Earthkeeper boot, was made with recycled lining and laces. It had at least 30% recycled rubber into the outsole, and it also had a leather working group leather for, of course, for the external parts. And at the time, it seemed crazy to actually launch this boot, and it was probably we were probably one of the first companies. And since then, we really learned from this boot, and we made the learnings part of what we do every day, and we create standards, and those standards are now applied to all the apparel and footwear and accessories that we put on the market. So in this way, it was really a learning curve, and the more we were going through this route, I will say, the more we were incorporating circular economy. So when our parent company, that is VF Corporation, actually pledged to the global fashion agenda to train all the designers around circular economy, we kind of jump on the boat, and we said, okay, let's be the first brand to be trained on this. And we started to discuss with the team who should have been those people that were benefiting the training. So we said, okay, designer, but then there were product people, then there was merchandising, then there was marketing, there was finance, and we understood that circular economy should have been something, it should have been a knowledge that we were sharing actually with the all teams to ensure that, as you were saying, Giusy, it doesn't stay a pinnacle product or a pinnacle collection, but it becomes something that everybody, let's say, that is really incorporated into the brand, because it starts from the design, it passes through material, through product developing, merchandising, marketing, and so on. And this was probably a really important point to make it strategic. And at the same time, probably another input that we had, and that was really strong for Timberland, was the collaboration that we started with Christopher Rayburn. So it was 2018. Probably most of you know him, but he is a UK-based designer that has been built his brand on the remade philosophy. So his design principles are really based on three concepts, that is remade, reduce, and recycled. And all those elements were actually marrying perfectly what Timberland had done in the past. So we started a collaboration with him. He was taking all the Timberland products, deconstructing the products and rebuilding into the new icons. And of course, this was a capsule, but then we kind of welcome him in our team. So he's now our creative director. And by doing this move, we can ensure that all these design principles are becoming part of what we do in each collection that we are actually delivering on the market.
That's very interesting. Before we go to Alessandro, just the last question. How was the reaction of the designer when you sent them back to school to learn circular economy design?
Oh, yeah, we were a little bit worried at the beginning. This is in general because, you know, you don't know how it could be perceived. In reality, they were really happy, and we had a really positive feedback, not just from the designers, but actually from all the product team, all the marketing team, and then right now they're asking us more training. So like they really want to go on this path because they realized and they recognize that circular economy is a journey. So they really need to learn more. Yeah. But we need to learn as well. So by training them, we really learned and look into things that we have never taught before. As Andrea was saying, like you really need to clean your house before you go.
Cleaning your home.
Yes.
So talking about cleaning, Alessandro,
yes,
I think we come to a major item, you know, for a lot of designers, for a lot of people in the world that is looking, you know, to get amazing material that has a second life, basically.
Of
so
course.
Our closing the loop champion, please.
All right. So speaking of you know, cleaning your room, and well, I guess in our case we clean everybody else's room in a sort of way. Maiba International this year has actually come out with the first in the world in the industry certification that essentially certifies that the majority of the fabrics that we obtain from renowned Italian, for the most part, brands and textile mills are actually recovered from the fashion industry. So this means that if we weren't here today, those leftovers, or as they call them, dead stock, which you can understand is a problem as a term in itself, would have otherwise been wasted. To us, it's absolutely the opposite of dead. In fact, every roll that comes in here is processed, is coded, and you know, there's a lot of processes that go behind it. But the main thing is that it's a fully transparent process. We revalue each and every meter of fabric, and we put it in such a way that our clients also can see the true value of a fabric that is absolutely great quality. There's great variety. It has everything that you can ask for in a textile, but it is recovered from the fashion industry, which we know is really one that produces too much waste today. So we are the first in the industry to have done it, and importantly, it has a twofold effect. So the first, obviously, is reducing the amount of waste. The second would be that we revalue the fabric without any type of chemical processes, any additional raw materials. There's absolutely nothing involved in our process of revaluing the fabric. So everything that we do is absolutely clean in terms of energy inputs. And what comes out of this process is, as I was saying, 70,000 or so fabrics that are, available to the smaller designer, all the way up to, shops with 40, 50, brands with, 30, 40 shops. So it's a great initiative, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. And I think, as I just want to touch on a little something that I heard everyone speaking about, education is a big thing in this, because, we're all having some really, really great inputs and strategies and projects, but it is really important. It's the foundations is to educate people and to make people understand that this is not used material. It's a material that's ready to get a new life, and we need to make people understand that. And if people do understand that, we're going to have a circular economy, we're going to be more sustainable, and of course the world is going to thank us later. And
I was really amazed, to find out. And thanks, Andrea, to introduce me to Maeba, because that's where, this relation is coming from. Because, when you say dead stock, you imagine something that, and there is something that is not really so clean sometimes and not so creative. But, a company that is 6 years old, there is a family behind it with a commitment that is investing, that is selecting the material. So it's not just taking what is available, it's really
absolutely, and
to evolve.
Of course, and I just want to add a little something. It's the heritage of the company. The Sapriti family has been in the industry for actually 100 years, of which 60 are more pertinent to kind of today's kind of it's actually been this very profound and interesting heritage that has allowed us to be able to select and to be able to offer such products. And of course, there's going to be things that are a little bit harder to repurpose. Obviously, there's always going to be a little something, but we do our very best to look at each and every meter, each and every fiber, each and every little component of our fabrics to make sure that it gets a new life. We try to have zero to, or as little to zero waste as possible.
Thank you, Alessandro. And this helps us to go to the next level, with Carmen, that is going to share with us another amazing expression of, circular economy, with a story of young entrepreneur as well, because, Eileen Fisher had the business model that is fantastic, but I will leave the word to Carmen. I'm still amazed because I went to see, the system and industry, because they made some, and I was speechless. And it's not easy for me to not to talk about something I normally like to. But please, Carmen.
Yeah. Well, where do I start? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'm more in the world of post-consumer waste, but damage inventory, right? And like I said before, like really trying to find scalable solutions for these, because making one-of-a-kind garments, it's beautiful, but it doesn't really solve the issue of waste that we have. And I don't like calling it waste, right? It's like resources for me that we have here in the fashion industry. So we have, like I said before, a remanufacturing system, right? Where we use the damage inventory to make new designs. And we have created this system on a scalable manner that has a capacity to make one style we actually have done up to 200 units per style. We can potentially do more, but like manpower is not possible right now. But we do 3 collections per year. You know, each style has like 90, well, X amount of units, and we offer sizing like extra small to large. So the idea is to create the system that it's, you know, available for a lot of people. And also, you know, we used to do it here in the factory where you saw Juicy, where you came and visit, but now we are producing these collections on our local partners in New York City, which when we made that transition, it was a big challenge because we were used to like the system that we created internally, right? We have the materials in-house, we have the production in-house, design team in-house. But now it's like you have to work with other people and kind of like teaching them about how we do these things. So that's actually have been very interesting to work with our local manufacturing. So that's something that I'm very passionate about because not everything, there's no one solution for damage inventory. So not everything can be fiber to fiber recycling because there's a lot of materials out there that have a lot of spandex, that have a lot of trims, but there's like, these are not materials that you can turn into new textiles. So remanufacturing is a key component because all of these garments, instead of going to landfill or downcycling, you can actually capture the value and maximize it by making new garments. So the way that we're seeing is like, we're trying to do as little as possible to the garments before we fiber to fiber recycling. So that's something that we do, the remanufacturing. Then we also do felting. We have a huge needle felt machine where it doesn't involve any water or other material. It's just like needles, right? So it's by friction, where we take apart the garments, right? And we run them through the felting machine, and then it just creates kind of like these beautiful, you know, new textile. This is 100% wool sweaters. These are like prototype that we're working on. So that's another good solution because we can create home goods. We could, right now we're actually working on a huge commission for private property in Florida. It's like 700 square feet, like it's huge, right? So it's gonna be, you know, on the lobby of a building. So it can go into architectural space, it can go into garments. So the possibilities are endless. And then the last thing that we do is fiber to fiber recycling, right? Because like I said before, a lot of these things we cannot remanufacture or felt. So we shred them down and we make new textiles that go back to our main line. And unfortunately, also there's a section of our inventory that is totally like we don't have a solution for, right? And a lot of these things, we actually offloaded 20,000 garments to a recycler here in local New York because we are, I mean, Juicy, you saw, we have no more space for garments, right? It's like we're drowning in garments. So, you know, it's a big challenge, but I think I love it because it should be the future. Like we're going towards there. You know, companies should be more responsible. Like I like what Diesel is doing, what Timberland's doing, which I'm like, so I have a million questions for you guys. So I would love to one day just call you and like, you know, chat and share some information. But like, you know, it's like more companies need to jump into this wagon because also customers are getting very savvy about it and they just want to know more on how we are doing things. Yeah.
And, you know, I'm really happy because one of the objectives of these smart voices is to share, but also to create connection because it's the networking that is going. If you're working with the same objective, I think, it's, you know, especially in this field, we can learn so much. I like the idea, you know, I went, you know, in Irvington to see, you know, these place and how they organize, but it was open to also the competition. It was not just for, you know, journalists or like things you're expecting, because they wanted to share the kind of business model, the kind of, you know, scalable way to work, and to learn also. I saw a meeting where Carmen was talking to another brand, and they say, I'm doing that, you're doing that, you know, and you could see finally solutions. So I will be very happy to know that after this call, you are going to put your brain together to elaborate something even better. So that is part of this. And staying with you, Carmen, so we go still, in the same, how was the reaction, about the market about these, and which are the next steps in your,
Yeah, so our market loves it. We started with bigger collections, and now we shrunk it down for the remanufacturing because we're putting a lot of emphasis on the felting part of the business. But the people really like having a new style of Eileen Fisher, because our core customer already has so many Eileen Fisher garments in their closet, and they want a little bit of newness. And I feel like the remanufacturing or the felted pieces really, well, we call them resewn, the remanufacturing collections. The resewn pieces, the felted pieces really add that extra piece that they don't have in their closet. And it's made from Eileen Fisher. It's made from the garment that they actually have returned to us. So they really love this story. Unfortunately, we wish we could do a lot more, but it's also like a very costly operation and very resource intensive. And I lost sight of the question. You asked me.
Well, just how was the reaction? Because you also communicated quite well, because it has become something unique, and also which are your next project, the evolution.
So, with everything that's happening with COVID, actually our whole operation has been stopped for remanufacturing, right? We're actually just starting to think about Resort 20. What is it that we're going to be offering in the remanufacturing space? But it's just up to yesterday that we had that conversation. Right now, what we're really focusing is on the felting, because felting does have the potential to make a lot more fabric, in a faster way. And Eileen is so passionate about the felting materials because it's just beautiful. It's like you can create pieces of art. Actually, behind me, there's one felted work. So our project, I can't really say much because we are the whole company is in the process of really reevaluating the business model. Everything that's happening, the industry is having a huge impact. Sure. People being furloughed, laid off, businesses not getting a lot of business because people are being very conservative with their wallets. They don't want to spend because of the uncertainty of, the industry, the economy. So we don't know yet where we're going. It's one step at a time. But for sure, for Eileen Fisher, this is Eileen Fisher Renew and Waste No More. It's a huge part of the business moving forward because the world is yelling at us that we can't produce more stuff. So
that's very clear. That's very clear. And COVID is a tragedy and it has stopped many things, but at the same time has pushed forward a new way to do things because people understand what is behind. So, and we will do another session maybe about this group, after COVID, when things will be a little bit more certain to hear also all the news. Yeah. Alessandro, next project, next steps?
Well, let's say that, the project has just been launched, so we're going to continue to elaborate on this project because, I guess the next steps will be, of course, to keep on sourcing appropriate material and always more high-end quality and exclusive materials, obviously, and anything that our clients ask for to make sure that we can certify them because we do understand and appreciate the fact that we need, as everyone was actually saying, we do need a more circular and greener and more sustainable industry. Also, a big part of this will be sensitizing our clients and everyone that collaborates with us internally and externally about the importance of doing such things, the importance of getting our fabrics. Of course, the important for our customers to understand is the fact that the hard work, we've put in the hard work, right? But they can take advantage of our work. They can then certify that their fabric has been recovered. They can use our work to put more value into their collections, and of course, it's something that helps the industry, the world, the earth, and everything. Also, as I was saying before, a big part of this will be educating and informing, and because of this, we're going to be always more heavily dependent on some partnerships. you may very well know, Juicy, you know, to help us along the way to share these concepts, to make these concepts, you know, fully understandable, relatable, and of course, you know, we want to make it possible for everyone. We understand that it's possible. It just needs to get into people's heads that, you know, it's a chance, and it's a good solution for a circular economy. Of course, not only locally, but internationally as well. You know, we work with over 55 countries, and our intent is to expand this possibility, real life techs, and a greener economy worldwide as much as possible, of course, with our efforts and with everyone that collaborates with us.
Thank you, Alessandro. Elisabetta.
Yeah, I think that the last words of Alessandro are really introducing one of the projects we're working on right now. So one of the most exciting part and one of the most exciting projects we have now active are the projects around regenerative agriculture. So probably the first question is, what is regenerative agriculture? And the second one is how it relates to circular economy. So just to make it really simple, regenerative agriculture is a type of agriculture that mimics the way in which nature works. So in the end, what is stored as a carbon in the soil is higher than what is actually emitted. And in the end, through regenerative agriculture, we have a net positive impact on the planet. So we are really building a greener future. And how does it relate, this concept, to circular economy? If we look at the theory of circular economy, there are three elements that needs to be put in place. On one side, in our case, products needs to be used more. On the other side, we should design out waste and pollution. But thirdly, we should regenerate ecosystem. And regenerative agriculture really enables us to regenerate ecosystem and to create this positive cycle into the nature. So as you know, like Timberland, we are a footwear company, so we rely heavily on leather. And we all know that the cattle industry has actually is a resource-intense industry. So we started to work on this back in 2005. When we actually co-founded the Leather Working Group, and now all our leather is coming from Leather Working Group tanneries, and we have a goal by the end of 2020 to have leather coming from gold or related tanneries, and we are now something like 97%. But said so, we are now bringing this to a step forward, and we are doing the next step. And the next step is really to take responsibility on the land and the grazing practices. And this is why we are starting to integrate regenerative agriculture into the way in which we actually source our product. And it was not an easy process, because we didn't have places where to actually take the highs that were coming from regenerative farming practices. So a few years ago, we started to work with ranches, we started to work with university, with other brands, and with the industry to actually create also protocols on regenerative agriculture. And we are now at a place where we were able to build the first supply chain. So this fall winter, in a few months from now, we will have on the market the first line of boots that is made with leather that is coming from regenerative farming practices. And for us, it's a huge achievement, and it's a statement to the industry that certain things, even if they seem impossible, they can be done. And on the other side, if we will be able as Timberland to move all our leather production to regenerative sources, we are going actually to have a huge impact on the planet. And we are really able to create this virtuous cycle we are mentioning today, where resources are regenerated and we create a better future for the next generation.
That is really interesting. You know, that is the big news, and we all will be waiting for the launch. You need to invite all of us.
Hopefully we can have it due to COVID.
When you're planning to launch it?
It will be on the market. So it's already in the line. and is going to happen in the next few months. So I will let you know when precisely will be in the store or on.
Like to dedicate part of our newsletter and social media, I think, Enrico, to the boots made with with new amazing technology, and that is really a great evolution. And Andrea, what's next? Because you are, full of energy, full of creativity. I know you never relax about. I can see in your eyes while the other people was talking. You were thinking.
Yeah. But I envy all of you, I have to say, because it looks like that you already have the dinner table all prepared with a nice pot, with a nice glass, with a nice tablecloth. But I'm still there in the oven. I have to put the ingredient, So the final food I still don't have. But I have to say that working with the product people in this, there is many things that are happening. The problem with this business is that you have to go back to your supplier, talking to them. First, to know who and which supplier is able to understand this mentality. So by talking to your supplier, you need to see if your supplier already has some certain certification, already if the country of your supplier has some certain obligation or some certain regulation that define the quality of the fiber that and the way that your fabric is composed and the way that your fabric is after dyed, washed, and etc. So it takes a long time really to digest all the way that different countries works. But for instance, this morning I was in a call. It was amazing, this call actually in the Bacino Mediterranean, like in the Mediterranean countries. There is people are moving, countries are moving, like Tunisia, Egypt, and also I think and Morocco. They're moving very, very, very fast and very well. So I had a very nice talk actually about the topic was recycling, and this was just a talk, but just to tell you that we are scouting good supplier and good way of working with suppliers. So this is a lesson that I learned also today. It's about regulations that define the way the countries can be working together, So I think when I was hearing you, Carmen, saying about the shredding machine and how you decompose all the garment, that's actually something that I'm very interested, because the way that you decompose and separate the type of fiber, that's very important, So because we can talk about recycling, but we have to talk about before that how you can separate the fiber, how you can separate the composition, and how also the weight of those and the blend of the fiber that is used is a blend that is 100% pure or not, So that's very, very, very hard. So I'm a technical guy. I love technicality, so maybe that I'm a little bit boring, I guess. But I love the fact that people, it's like when you see a tree and the tree has a beautiful cherry and you take it, you eat it. That's already the end of the process. But nobody wants to go to see under the ground and see the roots, the little worm, the little mineral of the ground. How it's made. That's actually what we are right now in diesel. So we are analyzing very well our ground. We are very well exploring it and curating it as maximum as I can, because we are waiting for a new product coming out in the future that has this responsible type of material that we want to promote. We just started with the denim, but just very briefly being part of the BCI, Better Cotton Initiative, and also with also some very small part, but with the consumption of water. We call it the respectful denim now. That has less percentage of water consumed, and also green screen certification. So I think certification was the first quick step, let's say, but I have to tell you that the way that company should work is really at the base of it, at the base of everything. And that's what we're doing now. So it's true, Giusy, I have so many ideas I cannot finish to tell you.
I can see in your eyes.
Yeah. But first of all, I need to make my hands a little bit more dirty now, so, and scouting more. But I want to say something to Alessandro. I never see you in person, but I'm very happy that we work together. And the way that you guys are working is good because for every designer, it's important to see the color, the final color, the construction, the weight, and to feel in the ends the fabric. So I think this makes every designer's dream, I think. But of course, the quantity might not be as a big company wants to have. But that's the education that from a marketing point of view, we should study to educate also the consumer to not wanting so much, but wanting also that exclusive uniqueness of the product. So I think that's something that will happen also with the regeneration and recycling of the fabric, because as soon as we are going to find machinery that satisfies also the eye of the designer within the material that we are going to create, I think that will be the biggest challenge, and we will not have any more problem of reproducing in garments,
Sure. And thank you so much, Andrea. You take us through all the levels of the supply chain and the different kind of opportunities / challenges, because we start saying that we are warriors, each one of us, and now we understand why we are warriors, because it's not about perfection, but it's about, and for me this is the most important thing, when people is saying what is sustainability, the first step of sustainability is to understand deeply how you do things in your company. How you do it, what is there, the transparency and traceability, it's so important, and it takes time sometimes. It's not something that you do in one day. Of course, if you are a small designer, it's easy. If you are, a company, thinking about a VF Corporation group, to put together all these things is not easy. But, everything depends from people, consumer is looking for. Today, we have seen in these rough hours how many expressions, of beauty, of something that people would like to wear, because today we couldn't share pictures and garments, and maybe we will have one, the next phase. But everything that we talk about is not something that will come in 10 years' time. It's already available, We have seen this collection. It's available for the consumer, and giving the choice to consumer to buy something that has these premises is so important. I know that you have done a lot of efforts also in how to communicate this, because some communication are really misleading when we talk about upcycling or recycling, generally speaking. That's why we believe this is a transformation process. We transform something into something else, and sometimes just by design, Andrea, or just by, I don't know, the technology you use to make things, but you are able, when you look at the numbers, low really numbers on how many times we wear a garment, it's terrible. It's really terrible. And if it's not a garment, think about it. Till some months ago, there were people burning fabrics because they were, so these are all values that we need to recuperate. Back in the loop is really what we at C.L.A.S.S, we think we need to back things into a loop that is really virtuous. And so for me, that's rock and roll for the circular economy. Of course, we need also to listen to one of the premises of circular economy, that is design in a way that you are not going to have so much waste, because clearly we are not going to produce more waste in order to support, but for sure, there are other ways to look at it. So I would like to end up, because it's 6:30 for us, and I think it's 12:30 for you, Carmen. But if you want to add anything about what we have said today, more than happy, because we are not here to teach, we are here really to share, because there is so much beauty, there is so much success, there is so much, marketing. Sorry, I think my connection is not so good. So if you have something to share more, please do it. If not, I really thank you so much from my heart, but also at professional level, because there is not another education session at the university that can give what you give us today. And I'm so happy that we could record so that we can use it also for schools. We are in touch with many people around the world, so we need more of this kind of shared experience. But please, I will stop and thank again. And if you have something more to say, it's your microphone, your stage. I see fantastic smiles.
Well, I just want to thank you, Juicy, for putting this platform. And I mean, a few words is just, I was literally on another panel before this one, and I guess I'm just going to share the same advice for both a consumer. We need consumer education. Consumers needs to be aware on a positive level, right? We are tired of bad news. So how can we bring these in a positive way to our consumer, to don't get overwhelmed by everything that we're telling them. How can we make it easy to them? Brands needs to talk more to them. And the other one, on a brand level, it's so easy to get overwhelmed by trying to be, circular or sustainable. All of that is so overwhelming, because at the same time it means a lot, but it doesn't mean anything. So it's a matter of fact of just looking at the values of your company, and just taking one step at a time, achieve one goal. And then you will feel very empowered when you achieve that goal. And then you will feel motivated to move to the next goal and to the next goal. And then you will make a bigger impact. So that's my 2 cents. But thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Carmen. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you, Juicy. I think it's nice what you say, Carmen, but I think also is good that we start to document more, because video documenting, it's not only a secret, is the reason why people can understand that. And the more you do that, the more people will be perfectionism in the machinery and the type of garment that can come out, the type of material that can come out from this machine. So I know some people are very secret about technicality, but I have to say that this will be the biggest challenge to all of us, to learn how to make, how to do, how to remake, so that's I want to say to everybody this, by the way.
Well, I'm very happy to talk to you, because we're very transparent about all of our process. So we can side table these conversations, and transparency is key. If you truly care for the planet and the people, you should be able to share your resources. And Eileen Fisher is a big proponent of that. So I'll be happy to speak to you guys.
Cool. Ciao to everybody.
Thank you very much, Juicy.
Ciao.
Grazie. Have a good evening and have a good final of the day. Buonasera a tutti. Ciao, grazie.
Ciao.
And thanks to our attendees. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.